Hello and welcome back to the Sports Countdown podcast with Declan Hughes and me, Peter Lynch. We've been busy for a few weeks, but it's great to be back. Obviously the Euros is well underway now. So today we'll just be looking back on sort of what's happened in the round of 16 and the quarters, looking ahead to the semis, and also picking out some of the best players in the tournament so far. First, just as ever, a quick shout out to Freelance Football Ops, a fantastic group that sources football media rules. So if you're looking for a job in the industry right now, just give them a shout on LinkedIn or Twitter. So yeah, on to the Euros then. I think it's fair before we get into it all to have a word about your beloved Scotland, Declan.
Yep.
Obviously didn't go quite to plan for Steve Clarke and his men. Did they underestimate it? Did they underperform? Like, did they not cope with the pressure? How do you evaluate how it went?
I just think it was for me. It was just about being there and like experiencing your country at a major tournament. You had that 5 years ago, Pete. So it was nice to get that. I did think maybe we kind of underestimated the first game against Czech Republic. There was a lot of like talk saying like we'll win this one. It's a must win. We'll get the 3 points, and then we'll look to try and take a point from one of the other two games, but. We get found out. I think Czech Republic proved that they're a really solid team, really good team, really well drilled defensively, and then they obviously had a lot of quality going forward. With Schick's just proved he's joint top goal scorer, So that was a tough game because I think we did have a lot of chances, we just couldn't take them, and then your man scored a great header. That was a great finish. Try to remind, it's been so long ago, but it was a great header. And then he's probably scored goal of the tournament as well from the halfway line. Not much you can really do about it, but we had the chances, but we just couldn't take them. So that it was disappointing. But when you look back on it, I think everyone saw how good Czech Republic is. I mean, they knocked out the Netherlands as well. They performed well against Croatia and England too. So they weren't really pushed over. So that was a tough result, but as I said, Czech was really solid. Then getting into the England game, it was obviously the highlight for us was getting a 0-0. But no, really spirited and organised, and that's how Steve Clarke kind of likes to set up his team. Is just to be really solid defensively, and we were that night. I did think we were the better team and we had a couple of chances again to possibly win that game. I said it was just great to see like the nation kind of back in the country and the optimism around the national team again, especially after that result. Like social media was awesome to see. So yeah, like and we're okay. Like a draw probably was a fair result. Both teams weren't like exceptional offensively, but then Croatia, it was just great for us to get a goal as well. Callum McGregor, great finish, one each at the half time. But optimism, then again, you're like, right, can we just kind of push on? But you can't give Modric that much time at the edge of the box and space. Like, you just outside of the boot goes in, that just kind of kills it for me. Like, not enough time to score another 2 goals, and then they got a third, and that's kind of it. But as I said, it was just about the optimism and being there and seeing how, like, seeing the country kind of come together was really good. So for me, that's why I kind of took from it more than actually the results, because I think we need to be realistic, and we're not a top team. We've got a couple of quality players in some positions, but as a team overall, we're not as solid as either of those 3 teams that was in our group. So for just being there and getting the games at hand and getting fans back in, obviously at Wembley as well, was really good for me. So that's my positive experience of us at the Euros, but hopefully more to come, like the World Cup and stuff coming up, and hopefully we can kind of kick on. The only negative was I do think tactically we could have been a little bit more positive and just had it go. Nothing to lose for us, but we just kind of played it as if we would just tie 0-0 or maybe sneak a goal. Whereas if we went for a little bit more, you never know. But barring that, it was a really great experience. So
it's a good stepping stone. Like, it's a great start. Obviously, there's a lot of young players there, and like you mentioned, the tactics. It just comes at you so quickly. Like, those 3 games are over in the space of a week. Like, you don't have time to even reflect on where it went wrong, or even you have to make decisions in game. Like, and I feel Clarke did get a few of those wrong. Maybe that first game. and then maybe a bit of a reality check as well. Like as you said, those teams are such quality teams. Like you can't go in there thinking you have an easy game, because I don't think there was an easy game in the Euros.
Not at all. And then obviously Gilmour coming back in for the England game was really positive. And then obviously the COVID situation was a little bit of a downer, but I still don't think it would have made like that much of it. Even if it played in the first game and the third game, I still don't think it would have made too much of a difference, but it would have been a really good. It'd have been good for him personally. Gilmour, like as you said, there's a lot of good young talent in that squad. And if we go like, well, World Cup's next year, possibly if we can get there, and then the Euros in a couple of years again, the majority of that squad will probably still be there and a little bit more experience. So as you're saying, like it's positive to see that we've got a squad, I think, that can possibly get us into more majors going forward.
Yep, definitely.
Right, well, we'll go to the last 16 then, Pete. There's some memorable results there, some shocks. So do you want to break it down a little bit for us?
Yeah, I mean, it seems so long ago now, but I think because of the games that were in it, you can remember them well. I think I have to start with Magic Monday, as some people are calling it. Maybe, one of the best days, if not the best day ever of Euros action, I think.
Yep.
Spain beating Croatia 5-3, and then Switzerland even going one better, and then beating, France on penalties. Just two incredible games. I think they had the same scoring pattern in the 3-3 the full time before they went to extra time, obviously. I mean, Spain, probably people have kind of written them off and their attacking abilities, but they actually became the first team in the Euros to score 5 goals in back-to-back games. And they're the top scorers in the competition. So, a lot's been said about them, but they're still here, and they're still into the semi-finals, obviously. So they're doing well. But I mean, that was all about the Swiss. I think just that huge upset, well deserved. I think France were a bit complacent going into it, and then they threw away a 2-goal lead as well in the game, and that obviously left the competition wide open at that stage. With the world champions going out and the finalists of the last Euros. So yeah, that was interesting to see. And then of course it was England's turn in the spotlight. Say about them what you will, but I mean, it was a tough game against Germany, but I think Southgate, mastered that one pretty well. Got his subs right, got his tactics right. Again, he was in for a lot of criticism. I think they had 7, defensive-minded players starting the game. They had five defenders, and then Rice and Phillips as well, just in front of them. But they kept another clean sheet, and they kept one against Germany, and it worked. So, I do think though having fans at Wembley is definitely a big help for England, and then they haven't exactly travelled very far in this tournament.
We could possibly get into that in a little bit. Yeah, I think we'll.
Yeah, maybe in another episode there could be a whole one on that. But yeah, so that's helped them, and I think they have a bit of determination and togetherness that I think they haven't really had in recent years. I think they have that under Southgate now. It seems they're all playing for each other. And then finally, that I think Sweden and Ukraine were also in action as well. Another game I just picked out. They have, a lot of young players there who could be. I think there's going to be a few signings made in the Premier League and the top leagues across Europe, and there'll be a couple of Swedish and Ukrainian players coming from there definitely. So yeah, it was obviously a really good round, really exciting, but because it was a while ago, it's hard to remember it all. So we'll move on to the quarters. Obviously, more recently, they've just finished. Belgium, Italy was the standout, obviously going into them, and then Switzerland and Spain as well, of course. So, how did you view the quarterfinals?
Yeah, the Spain-Switzerland game just really, I think both teams obviously having gone to extra time, and then Switzerland going to penalties. You could kind of see it kind of taking its toll in the game. 1-1 again, going to penalties, just a really close fought game. And then maybe you thought Switzerland could do it again after what happened against France, but it just wasn't to be. It was a kind of an average shootout compared to the last one they had against France, where 9 out of the 10 went in. So Spain just do enough. And as you said, a lot of people before the tournament kicked off had wrote Spain off. And I've had a shaky-ish tournament. Like, they're scoring a lot of goals, but they do concede. So that's going to be an interesting semi-final with them against Italy. As you mentioned, the Italians are just quality, so well drilled. but really exciting to watch under Mancini. Not that kind of defensively minded team you usually think of when you think of Italy. They're kind of pressing the team, pressing high up the field, winning the ball back, and that's how they got their first goal against Belgium. Was a high press, won it back, got a goal, and then the second goal, Insigne, was just sheer quality as well. Great finish. Belgium get one back with a penalty, but I think Italy were in control of that game, and also knocking out one of the other favourites in Belgium. So I think Italy's definitely going to be the team to beat right now.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting semi tomorrow. Then Czech Denmark. I think everybody's rooting for Denmark after what happened to Eriksen and stuff. There's just such a real togetherness and spirit within them. But then there's also there's a lot of talent in that team. You know, all over the field, they're really solid. Their second goal was class as well. The cross and the first time finish was sensational. And we say Czech had a really good tournament. They just kind of fell short there. So I think we're all rooting for Denmark on Wednesday, even if you're English, just because we all want that fairy tale ending. I think for Denmark. Then obviously Ukraine, England. The less said, the better. It was just disappointing in Ukraine, just conceding so early. Like good ball from Sterling, but then the goalie just kind of. I think the keeper should have done a bit better there. Yeah. Then they come back into it, and then second half, just a poor defending from the free kick, and Maguire gets in, and then more set pieces. They were just all over the place, Ukraine. It was really disappointing to see, but England didn't really have to get out of second gear. I thought they controlled the game really well. I think they've been doing that this whole tournament. It can come across as a little bit boring to watch because it's a lot of back passing and keeping the ball. But as I think Southgate said, it's not about playing attractive football to win a tournament. It's about just playing to win. So far, they've not lost a goal. They look as if they're kind of hitting form. Their top players are hitting form at the right time. Kane's starting to score some goals as well. Yep. They've got Maguire back in at defence, so they're looking good, but surely not, right? We're all going for Denmark. It's all about the Danes, and as I said, everybody will be rooting for Denmark unless you're English on Wednesday night. So fingers crossed, but then hopefully Spain or Italy can save football, as I think we were saying. # save football. So we'll see what happens. No, I'm scared. I'm a little bit scared right now at what's happening, but I was the same at the last World Cup, and they fell at this same stage. So we'll see. Anyway, Pete, you want to preview these semi-finals? 2 good games coming up for us during the week. How do you see it going?
Looking forward to those. I'm trying my best to avoid predictions, because of a certain country that I predicted as my dark horse before it all kicked off. But to be fair, I did back Italy before it all began, and I'm sticking to that. I think Spain can cause them problems, but I think Italy will be too strong. They've been too strong, and I think they will be too strong on the night. It'll be close, of course, but they do have the likes of Olmo, Torres, and Sarabia going forward, and I think those guys are key. Like they're much younger than the players they're coming up against. Chiellini and Bonucci have been outstanding, but I mean, what age are they now? Maybe 36, 37, and 34. Bonucci maybe. So, like, if you play this amount of games in a short space of time, it's going to catch up with you. So, pace could be key in this one. You might even see Adama Traore. He's yet to kick a ball, I think. But he might make an appearance because I think if they go with, Morata and Moreno going forward, which
too easy, I think too easy to defend for the 2 guys, as you said.
Yeah, there's no pace there, so I don't know how to play it. I think they could have done with some Madrid players in there at least. We talked about it before. I know Ramos and Carvajal had their fitness concerns going into it, but I mean, there's still Vasquez, Isco, Asensio, players like that, and even Nacho at the back might have helped them as well. So yeah, and Italy, you've said it before, they've just been so consistent and they've been so good all over the pitch, playing really good football. So I can't see past them, to be honest. And then England, I don't want to talk about it, to be honest. I think like Italy, they've just been really strong. really together, determined as well. As I said, fighting for each other, and I think it's hard to see them losing this one. Denmark, they definitely do have a handful of really talented players, obviously that have gotten them this far. Likes of Dolberg and Damsgaard, young guys, really exciting. They could be on the move soon enough. And then that you have the old guard, Delaney, Braithwaite, Schmeichel in goals. So a really good mix. And they've surprised everyone definitely. How far. I don't think anybody could have predicted this. So I mean, there's still hope that they can.
I just don't think it's going to be as easy as the Ukraine game for England. I think there's just more of a spirit and intensity to the way that Denmark have played. So I'm hopeful. I think that they've got more attacking threat than what Ukraine did.
Yeah.
Like Braithwaite's looked really good, even though he's not been really scoring, but his movement's really good. Dolberg, you said, and they've got Højbjerg as well, the Spurs man in the middle of the park with Delaney, as you said, the experienced heads in there. Christensen at centre back, Schmeichel, obviously world class. So there's a chance there. The pressure's on England. I think that's the way Denmark will be getting into it. There's no pressure on us. Let's just go be organised, structured, play with high intensity. It's something I don't think England have faced yet as a team really trying to get into their face, which is what will happen if they play. If Italy do get through in the final, that's what they'll play there. And then Denmark, I think, will probably try that as well. So I think press them a little bit, put them under a little bit of pressure. Don't let them just dictate the play, and we'll see what happens. But I agree, it's England's to lose to get the final. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, Denmark have nothing to lose. With England not conceding a goal, like how much motivation is there surely for England, firstly, to not concede, but even more for Denmark to be the first team to actually score past England?
So, yeah, I mean, if they lose a goal, then they've not experienced that yet in the tournament. So as you say, like, how did they react to that? Well, hopefully see on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Fingers are crossed. We'll see. Right. Anyway, Pete, there's been some terrific team performances we've discussed already in this tournament, but there's also been a lot of individuals that have stood out in this Euros to date. So for our countdown this week, we're going to ask you for your top 3 contenders for the player of the tournament. And I know you put a tweet out as well, and we got a good response from our followers, and there's a lot of interesting players in there, and I think a few surprises, that names that we probably wouldn't have thought about at the start of the tournament that have really stood out.
Yeah. I mean, it's really difficult to pick just 3, I would say, but I mean, I think the likes of Pogba, Ronaldo, obviously, Schick, you mentioned, Forsberg as well. Honourable mentions to them. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but my number 3 it's Jordan Pickford in the England goal. He definitely wasn't someone who you would think before the tournament, would have had such a great tournament, but he's just the fact that he's come on leaps and bounds. We've all seen him make mistakes, but he's looked much more composed with the ball in the air at his feet, coming from corners, set pieces. I think he's formed a great relationship with that defense. So his confidence is obviously at an all-time high, and he has made a lot of really big saves. I think he's saved 9 shots so far, 5 clean sheets out of 5. Some of the saves have been at crucial points in the game. So against Scotland, for example, you've seen it, so you can't knock him. To be fair, I know you're doubting me there.
Would you say? No, I agree. Like, would you say if England win this tournament and don't concede a goal, that he has to get player of the tournament?
I mean, it depends. I think, if they don't concede a goal, I think obviously they have a very good chance of winning the final unless they go on and lose in penalties. But it's hard to see. But there's been a lot of good performances in that England defence as well. Shaw's been outstanding. John Stones as well. But Pickford, he's been there. You wouldn't expect. I didn't even think he would start for England in this tournament.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got to be there. If he keeps another two clean sheets in the last 2 games, then you can't really look past him, to be honest.
Fair enough.
So yeah, unfortunately, he's number 3. But number 2, I've gone for Pedri in the Spain midfield. Another one you just wouldn't expect to have Sean. Again, wasn't expecting him to be a starter. To be frankly honest, he's actually played almost every second. I think he got taken off in the last minute of extra time in one of the games, and that's the only time he hasn't been playing. So yeah, it's just he's really young guy. Still, he signed for Barcelona from Las Palmas less than 2 years ago, and now he's in a key member of the Spain squad. He's in ahead of Thiago and Rodri in that midfield, which I think says a lot, you know, and I think his teammates know just how important he is. He's been key on the ball, off the ball. He can see a pass. He's got that kind of De Bruyne like vision, if you want to call it that. And he's covered more distance than any other player in the entire tournament. Actually by a long shot as well. I think Souček's in second with maybe 57 kilometers or something, and Pedri's in 61.5. So even most solo runs in the attacking third. So he's kind of been doing a defensive job and doing an attacking job, you know, all in one go. So he's been a really good player, and he's going to be key in this last game anyway, at least.
Absolutely.
And then number one, as you said, other people, you know, surprising us all. It's Spinazzola from Italy. And at left back, he's 2 clean sheets, 2 assists. But his tournament is, you know, it's come to an end sadly with that injury.
Yep.
He's going to be a big miss, obviously, but he's you know, I talked about Pedri's statistics, but he's much more than that. You know, he's been outstanding down that left flank, you know, attacking and defending. You know, the balance he's had there. You know, there's a lot of fullbacks named before the tournament who were going to be, you know, have a key for their countries, and you definitely wouldn't have picked him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been so good to watch, and he's just been full of energy, tackling, and even if I had to mention a statistic, he's 17 dribbles, which is like more than the likes of Sterling in this competition, and he's also clocked the quickest sprint as well. So
interesting stats.
He's done it all. Yeah.
Very good. And while we're on this subject, and you mentioned Raheem Sterling there, our very own Larry Henry has been on Twitter saying that Sterling's the player of the tournament. Thoughts on that? That get brought up. I was quick to disagree, because he was quick with the stats to show me that he was on top of all the stats, and he is not top of any stats. Maybe specific England stats, but not tournament stats. As you said, we just had a left back that's done more dribbles than him. But I'll be fair to him. He's probably been England's best player. Minus Pickford in goals, attacking wise. He got another great assist. So I've been quick to say that he won't get it. But if England win the tournament and he plays more of a part in the semis and the final, then I might have to eat my words there. But we're not going to go there because it's unthinkable.
I mean, I think a lot of focus has gone on him because he's the only person who scored their goals like in the first couple of games. They had before that Ukraine game, obviously, they hadn't scored many. So he kind of took all the attention, and to be fair, he took it on. You know, he took a lot of responsibility to go and do it when no one else did. And also after the season he had at City, you know, he didn't even finish that season because Foden was playing so well. And I didn't think he would be starting again like Pickford. I honestly didn't see him starting for England with Grealish, with Foden, Sancho. But I think he's kind of shown his maturity there, and he's shown he can still score a goal as well. So absolutely. I mean, he's been great, but maybe not player of the tournament so far anyway.
We'll see what happens. I'm sure like the player of the tournament is probably going to be someone that wins it, is the way it usually kind of happens, or if they get to the final.
Yeah,
so
an Italian.
Hopefully an Italian or a Spanish that you've mentioned there. Yeah. So your top three have all got a chance of actually winning the tournament, and at least one of them the final.
That's why I feel, you know, they still have a part to play. You know, obviously Ronaldo was so good, you know, with his goals, and Schick, Forsberg, they all scored plenty of goals. But I think because they're out of the tournament already, it's kind of only fair to keep guys who are still in the tournament.
Is it not Penaldo? Is that not his name for this tournament?
Nah, you can't slag that man off. He's been unbelievable. He's so good.
Hopefully, our man Leon Healy isn't watching that. He'll be upset. So don't tell him. But no, mate, I think that's all we've got time for today. Pete, thank you for joining me again. And your insight. It's been nice to get back again after 3 weeks off.
Yeah, busy boys, but yeah, we're back now, and we'll just be looking forward to these games. And one more time, if we're offending any England fans, I'm sorry, but I just can't even think of what it's going to be like to watch them lift that trophy. So
don't worry, no, too soon. Hopefully by the next episode it's over and we're okay.
Yeah,
I think we'll be taking a month off if not. But
yeah, absolutely.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, thank you again, everybody, for listening. As I said, sticking with us during these busy few weeks that we've had. And just make sure that you keep up to date on all our social media platforms and enjoy the rest of the Euros. And we'll see you all again really soon.